We're back. Welcome to Crypto Cartel. It's been a while. Market has been rough, but we're starting to see signs of life, and we're going to take a look today at Bitcoin, at altcoins. What are the setups out there? Is the bottom in? That's what we want to find out today, and I think there's a good chance that it is. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, no, I think we're looking really bullish overall. I believe we hit a bottom, but let's go ahead and take a deep dive on Bitcoin. I know we haven't done a video in quite some time, so I will go ahead and kind of give you the overview of the things that we had talked about over the last months, the levels to watch, and the bounces that we've been having so far. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and zoom out really quick on the monthly. As you can see, the monthly sincerely has been looking pretty bullish. Uh, as you can see, the stochastics up here, this is kind of bearish if you look at it because we're making a lower high on the stochastics. But even then, look, the price came down. The RSI has maintained a little bit sideways and is looking to turn up again. And the MACD still hasn't crossed red, right? So, we could do something like this around here, right? We could go down here, like, we did a little loop and then came back up, right? We could also do the same thing here. Again, this is the monthly. There's still, let's see how we end the month, in about 13 days. But overall, this right here still looks bullish. And I'll just leave it at that on the monthly time frame, right? Let's get into the 3 week. Same. I mean, look at that. We've retested, here we've retested. So the trend looks like it's continuing, right? And again, but this again shows a bullish sign. So that's the 3 month. However, we did not to ignore, but we did get into some bearish MACD here. But again, we are on the positive side. We're not down on the negative here, so it's still not a bad place. In terms of what we're gonna do here, we'll have to see over time in the smaller time frames. Let's go ahead and take a look at the 2 week. Yeah, I mean, look, the 2 week, we broke down and we came back in. Same thing on our last video, we talked about this, right? That we wicked down and then we came back up above the 21 MA. And that's exactly what we did here. So there's good support here, clearly. It is looking bullish in terms of, okay, look, we're still holding up. We are in a little bit of a chop right now, but we're still working, right? We're still going. And again, here, look, we're still making higher highs on the RSI on the 2 week, so it's not too bearish. Um, I am concerned about how far we are with the orange and the white here. It usually takes quite some time for us to then get above it, but we are a little bit far away, right? As you can see here, we came back down, so pretty far out from this orange line, and this took about, let's see, May all the way out to August, and then to cross and make higher highs around October, right? So as you can see, that price action, right? It took quite some time to then get around it. I don't know how long this is going to take, but again, we'll see. So let's get to the weekly. One of the places that I am looking at for potential rejection in the shorter time frame, right? I just gave you the macro. The weekly is around 92K, right? 92, 94K, and I'll start showing you my levels here that I put out in the group chat. So this is where we are right now on the weekly. We still need to get above the 87, 88K here. As you can see, there's been wicks. There's been a few wicks actually where we can't get above this. We try to get above it. We came back down below. We keep pushing, and nothing happens, right? And so it's going to be interesting how the next few days are going to go. On the 3 day, as you can see, the 21 MA is blocking it. And then we go into the daily, and look, in the daily, we're just overbought, right? We went one, we're double topping here, and we have the 200 MA as resistance. So essentially, a lot of these moving averages are showing resistance on these levels, and on the macro time frames, we're looking at resistance around these levels, which makes sense in terms of this chop that we had before, right? Now, the tricky part is, are we going to go up or down from here? And it's been, I mean, look, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days just in this little range here between 83 and 86. and it's, a lot of traders want to, want to long, want to short, and it is a bit frustrating to do either of those things when we're just chopping here. In reality, I did hit a short here, came back down, but again, it just means nothing, just because we're not going anywhere. But moving on, let's go ahead. So yeah, anyway, so I think that we're either going to flag out and make the move up, or from here we just kind of do a Bart Simpson and we just come down, right? So it's a bit tricky. When we start looking at the 4 hour, again, this tells me, look, we're spent on the stochastics. This looks bearish here, right? I'll explain why. We're making lower lows on the RSI, and we just made a higher high, but a lower low on the RSI, and then we're again still on the lower side here. So it's very tricky. I don't know if maybe some news would get us pumping. I don't know if eventually something is going to happen that would get us dumping. But what I'm seeing right now as support levels is essentially this. One of the things that I did point out to the group chat was the shoulder, head, and again shoulder here. Whether that's going to play out, I don't know. We haven't. I mean, this dump here when Powell spoke look like a great short, but then we recovered again. It's just straight chop right now. So to all our viewers, and if you want to do something in the next few hours or few days, personally, I don't recommend trading right now. I'd like to see this either go up or just go down and then go from there and just look at different levels. So that's the shorter time frame. And to answer your question, back to did we hit top or bottom? One of the things that we spoke about in this channel was, we called the top, right? We called the top around 108. We ended up going up to 109, and then we dumped. We did call the price action coming into the mid 70s, and that's exactly what we did. I, however, did miss my entry on this one. I had some at 73K, so oh well. But again, that's exactly the level I was looking at back in January. It was this area here before the bounce, and as you could see, we did have some bullish divergence play out, or currently playing out. Right, we have higher highs on the RSI, but we have lower lows on the price action, and this is on the daily time frame, so it's a pretty big time frame, right? Now, whether we go up or down, honestly, it's tough to tell, but I think this is the bottom. And I will give you the situation. Let's just say that we get rejected on this trend that we have had since. Let me get rid of the fib. Since this top, right? So I went ahead and look. We got rejected here. We barely even got there. We never touched here. We kind of touched it here, and now we're touching it right here. So when we break out, we're breaking out of a trend that's been downtrending since January, right? If we can move up, we could probably come back here, retest, and maybe continue to go up, or we could see another, a fake out up to here, and then we just dump, possibly down to there. I would say maybe, yeah, around these levels. I would just keep an eye on this little trend here. We had one touch, two touches. I usually like to buy the third touch, but we really didn't get it here. Maybe that was the bottom. It's tough to tell, but maybe we could double bottom. I don't
Well,
know.
that wick on the left,
But
that was the first.
go ahead.
Could that wick on the left be considered the first?
The first what?
You said you wait for three. That's three times the price action. Touch that one.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean this one could. I mean, so yes, that's one, two. I could consider this one. The only reason why I had mine down to 70, my buy-in order, is because it usually works out this way. And this one worked out exactly that way, right? It touched three times, almost perfectly, right? And so I was expecting the same thing here. But I think we got front ran for that 786. I think people knew that was a 786, and they were just buying in as soon as that came out, as soon as the price came in, right? And so I guess if I were to see a short, is maybe, again, we're still on the daily, maybe come up to here again and get that rejection. As you can see, 88 has been a very strong rejection point, and we have the 200 moving average on the daily here as well. So what if we do go up there and then we just flop and come back down, right? So one scenario on the bearish side, right? If we can't get above 88K. Now, if we can get above that 88K time frame, I'll give you a scenario here. You could be making something like this: a shoulder, a head, and a shoulder, right? It could be something like this, which means that the next price level, if we're going to look at a bullish time frame or a bullish action, yeah, exactly. We have to get above the 82, 84, and then I have this other trend here that I've put up as again, chop and resistance. So we could do something like that. Maybe everybody gets hoardy and, they say, oh, we broke out of the 88s, then the 90s, and, and then here there's more chop. So that's the target that we would get if we break out ideally, and then maybe short from here. Again, it just depends on how we fight these levels and if we hold these levels and if we can't, and if there's, bearish divergences, so on and so forth. But, only time would be able to tell us that as we're getting there. But for me, these are the two scenarios. I can't come up with any more because it's just, again, we're just in chop. And then one last thing I do want to talk about is this. I believe we had something similar. Yeah, right here, right? If we look at, it's not the exact same, but it's slightly similar in terms of, we were in this random chop for, let's see, May 19th all the way to July. So it was about 2 months. We had this like little downtrend-ish, kind of like that. Just a bunch of chop in general. So maybe we could be doing something like that here too. I'm not saying that, we're just doing this like random chop. Maybe you come back down one more time and then we go up. But that's, that's all I can say. I mean, as of today, I really don't like this price action. It's not great to trade. And, it's better. I personally think it's better to wait to see if we're going to go down or up. Or you can just play 50-50 and, trade whatever way you think it's going to go. So, yeah, that's what I have. What do you think? Do you think we're top or bottom?
I think that may have potentially been a bottom, at least near term. So I'll show you like what I'm waiting for in terms of triggers. I agree, like definitely in no man's land right now. And basically what I'm looking for here, you can see, so, zooming out, you retested like this, almost retested, it got front ran this old all-time high from 2024, right? And I think as long as we're above here, and more importantly above this high of from the old 2021 bull run of around 69K, then we're still in a bull market for me. So I think either that's the bottom, or we come down here. Maybe there's some fuckery over here, like retest here. I don't want to see like that much price action there, and maybe a wick and right back to business, right? So that's kind of what I'm seeing long term. More shorter term, I like some potential setups that I'm looking for. So I think we're now in this new range. You can see, like you said, we've been getting capped at like 88, right? And it's really this is the trouble area right here, where we sold off and then rallied from there. Now that's become resistance. So I do see setups like in the short and the long side. So the short, similar to you, I think there's two scenarios. Either we run these highs, um, come back in here, and target lower, or I could see us running up to here like 90s. Some really good, what seems like bullish news comes out, but to me this is a downtrend, and there's going to be a lower high, whether it's here or here. There's going to be a short opportunity somewhere there, and I'm kind of looking for that trigger. And then I'm also looking for like the long side. like you said, we've been very narrow price action like the last 5 days, and I could see two potential scenarios here, like um, kind of getting out of this range. You could maybe take a quick like day trade or mini swing trade here. Like if we go lower, like run those stops and then kind of back in this range and target the top of the range or maybe up here. Or we also have this is what makes me a little more bullish is like we have the monthly open here, and you can see like that trend line has been kind of been a front ran, since we got in this range. So I think any tap of that, you could take a pretty good risk reward trade on that monthly open. So I think if price goes lower, I'm a long. If price goes higher, I'm gonna short basically if I get those triggers. So yeah, I think with that, but with the stability, I think altcoins there are some altcoin setups, and maybe we can move on to some of the altcoins we're looking at. Is there any that have caught your eye in terms of potentially you know longing or shorting?
Yeah, so one of the ones that did, and it was my mistake. I actually didn't talk about this one. It was absolutely Farcoin, and we did talk about Farcoin a few a few months, a few weeks ago actually. And there
Yeah.
was a setup that we had talked about. I think it was I think we talked on a private chat, but uh, essentially we had and yeah, I saved it here.
Are you sharing your screen or?
Oh yeah, let me share my screen. All right, so yeah, so I had this target, I had this flag a while back, and had two targets, right? So I had the first one, which was like 89 cents all the way up to yeah, exactly exactly the almost the top at like 94 cents, but this thing wicked all the way to like 95, 96 cents. And and I said, that's probably the short. And we try to go ahead and hit it three times, up to three times, right? So it's like almost like a triple top, and we're coming down now. And I was looking at it here too. This is on a perpetual on Blowfin, but we wicked all the way up to 98 here. Came back down, and I think around here I was like, okay, this is probably a good short. And this looked a little bit scary. Like we had one, two, three, and part of me thought that this was going to be a long. But this is also what I would like what I'm seeing with Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin's also kind of looks like a shoulder, head and shoulder, right? The one I showed you up above, right, which gives us a target of like 97K. But look at that. Like we got rejected again, and we just came back down. So that shoulder, head and shoulder never played out. Which I even had a target here that I brought out, right, the head all the way there, which was another short scenario here. But you know, the Farquhar wasn't playing ball, so that was it. But if we had shorted, that was like a good 20%, right? It's not you had to wait this chop before it came back down. It was a very risky move, but it would have paid off to short. So yeah, that's the one I've been looking at. The only thing I can think of here is we were potentially hitting like a support region here, and then maybe go back up, and then maybe one more pump. It's hard to tell really. Um, yeah, I mean we are coming back down on the daily, maybe come back to 64. But again, this move already happened, so I'm not. Maybe I'll wait where we see like where we have good resistance or support, and then I'll go from there. But that's the one I was looking at for quite some time, but didn't execute on this one. Do you have anyone you're looking at, or do you have any comments
Yeah,
on Farcoin?
Farcoin is one that's near and dear to my heart. I took a big trade on that one, in the run up, and probably sold lower than I could have, but made a pretty good amount of money on it. Um,
Yeah, I would say here, if we're looking for, I mean, that's a shoulder, head and shoulder, and a triple top with a lot of bearish divergence. So I mean, it's still a good short. Maybe something like this, right? We come back down, we retest that, and then we meet the target there. So good confirmation retest would be around the like 78, 79 cents, and then just short that with like a stop loss at 81 cents. But yeah, no, I think this looks really good on that confirmation. I think is the perfect entry for a short for about 20%. I'd say, yeah, 22%. Are you still bullish in general, like long term Farcoin, or what's your
I think
take?
so. After I'll show you why.
Oh
If
yeah,
you
cool.
just switch over to my screen, so it kind of went on its own little uh, bear market, right? And from topping out over 2 billion here, literally at the top on I think when Trump got inaugurated, uh, it that was the all-time high and went straight down in the line right after that. So, but we did try like you and I were talking about that 200 million market cap level and potentially
Yep.
like bidding with size there. And that was definitely my plan, but I just got front ran basically. I did start scaling and I had a small position in like the 220s. I'm like, all right, this is it. As soon as it hits 200, I'm going big, and then boom, just goes. Uh, and one thing that you'll notice that I've noticed at least is Farcoin has become a risk on indicator for not just crypto, like the whole market. It's almost like Farcoin goes first. And if you look at the 30-day performance, Farcoin's up 180%, and Bitcoin's up 2.6%. And it's outperformed, everything on the screen that's a major, you know, large cap or tracked coin here. It's outperformed everything by a lot. So I think that's kind of this outlier price action. It kind of shows Farcoin has built a special, unique like attention flywheel and community, but it's very reflexive, right? Like when it goes up a lot and fast, and same thing when it goes down. So I guess what we're trying to determine now is this the start of a new downtrend? And um, apologize for the messy chart here, but basically psychological levels like 1 billion and 500 million are very important for meme coins. So if I were to bid uh like big again, I would go kind of here in the 600 million area, under 700 million, basically like this old support here. I don't know exactly how low it's going to go, but if we were to come down there and kind of like retest here and maybe hold this area for a bit and go back up, I would definitely be adding there because I think it's kind of shown me what I wanted it to do, with this big sell off, and that's basically become a leader, not just in the meme coin sector, but across the whole market. So I do think it has like SHIB like potential and could go to 5 to 10 billion still if we get a second leg on the bull run. But in terms of like adding, I'm not adding here. I think it's kind of shown signs of breaking down. Like basically same thing you were saying, like breaking out of this. We have a triple top here. It's breaking out of this range here, and I thought it could be turning into a flag, and now it's kind of losing momentum, and it's a momentum asset. So um, let's see. I mean, it is retesting like this daily trend, and if I start to see some strength there, maybe I'll scale in, but I'm looking at below 700 at this point. What do you think?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think the support you have, I think it's around the same thing I have, like around 600, right?
Yeah.
Million. So I think maybe like a retest down there. I think so I will be looking at that potential short on that retest, right? If we that short coming down. But one thing I want to talk about is I like to look at some of these coins long term. So let's just say, we go into a bear market. I believe that this is one of those coins where you want to be able to DCA in, right? So do you want to pull up like the Doge chart of like the accumulation zone? I would say that
Well,
Farcoin would probably go through that.
you're saying like
Mhm.
I agree, but you're saying like when we go into a bear market, like we've been in a bear
Exactly.
market,
Yeah.
and we said this early in the year, like,
No, I'm
yeah,
saying,
welcome to the
well,
bear
I mean, a
market.
bear market. Okay, so it just went. So it
This
just
is a
went
bear
from
market right
200
here.
million to
This is
almost
90
a
day
billion.
performance.
So that's like a 4x.
Yeah,
No, that's what I'm saying, but I'm talking about Farcoin
right.
specifically, right? It just did a 5x, so that's not a bear market move, right? That's more of like, okay, this has potential. I'm talking about when we're ranging on those lower lows, like when we're talking about like 2 million, 200 million, 300 million, like that's what I'm talking about. Not now. I'm talking about like in the
You
future
think it can go
years.
back there?
Absolutely,
You
absolutely.
think it goes back to 200 million?
If and when Bitcoin starts pushing, I think that's going to be a range for I mean, as you could look at the chart, like you could see the 200 million level as as resistance, as support. I'm sorry. So most likely we'll probably go down there, and in about 3 years, 2 years, whenever we go back to those levels, I will absolutely ape heavy on Filecoin because I know that's an easy guaranteed 5, 6x or maybe more, right? So I mean,
Yeah,
just look at Doge. Doge went in, that's how I see this one being kind of the next Doge, in terms of
I think
uh, leading the next wave of memes.
I
Because think
think
about it,
like
like no other no
for it
other
to go back to 200.
no other meme did that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
go ahead.
No, I'm saying like no other meme did that.
Um,
Like no other meme in the last month did what Farcoin just did. Think about it. No other meme just went up
well,
4x,
that's
5x.
this is like mind this is mind blowing right here. Like you see the 60-day performance. Bitcoin down 11%. Everything's red, and Farcoin is up 100%, 98% here.
Exactly.
And I see red. So that's why I don't think we're gonna get those levels again if we're in a bull market. If and that's I think it comes back to Bitcoin, right? Like if we get
Exactly.
a sell off and we're at 74 or 69, like basically this bid area that I mentioned, and I think wherever Farcoin's at, whether it's 400, 500, it's going to be probably higher than 200, and the market is very like there's a memory in the market, right? There's a conscious memory of like what was the fastest thing off the bottom last time, and now everyone knows it's Farcoin,
Exactly.
so
Exactly.
it's gonna get bid. Everyone is thinking what you're thinking and what I'm thinking, so that's why I think it might get front run if we're in a still in a bull, right? If we're not in a bull anymore, then yeah, I agree with you. Like a longer term bull. So I do think it was a bear market for altcoins in 2025. But if we look at like the last month, there are signs of life. One I want to take a look at is Hype. You can see it's leading,
Yeah.
definitely outperforming Bitcoin and every other L1. And that's when I started accumulating. Definitely got in way too early in terms of like I could have waited for a sell off, but it's showing a lot of strength. So maybe we can take a look at that one.
Yeah.
So let's look at the USD one first.
Wow.
So a lot of alerts here, but basically, I have this I have this scenario drawn out, like this light blue line, and I thought max will get down to 12, and that's where I was like planning to bid, right? And once we started losing 12, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of froze. I had like analysis paralysis, or I'm like, dang, was I wrong? Do I cut for a loss? Then it got to 10, 9, but it's been, I mean, quite the recovery here
Yeah.
from $9 all the way to, similar to strength to Farcoin, 80%. It's been one of the leaders. So, um, yeah, curious where, long term, this is like a long term auto for me. I don't do those very often anymore, but I do think hype, the fundamentals kind of justify it. But
Yeah.
I'll be curious to see what you think about it.
So I think with by the way, it was a good call. I know you were looking at this one for a while, and then there was like that really nasty. I remember you telling me about this, but I mean that scoop up at $9 was pretty solid. If you got the chance, and even like at 11, it's a beautiful long. But one of the, I mean, let me share my screen. One of the things that I'm seeing in terms of uh, all right, give me a second. Yeah. So I think this is that's how the chart is, right? It came out back in December. That's the full chart, right?
Yep, December
Yeah. Okay.
2024
Cool. Cool.
is what I'm seeing.
All right.
Actually, there's an
So,
older one on Deck Screener. Um,
oh, really? Yeah, give me a
yeah,
second. Let me
that
look at
maybe,
that.
and this is where I messed up too, because when I had my levels and my fibs and everything drawn out, it was with the newer price action. I guess like when TradingView started tracking it, and there was actually
Yeah.
like more important levels if you went back to all the price history where basically I should have been bidding. Like I got messed up because I was looking at the wrong chart basically.
Damn.
Um,
All right. Yeah. Let me pull that out. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you can see, but I have multiple BTC charts open just because the price action is different on all of them. In terms of like one wicks all the way up to like 85 700, the other one goes to like 85 500. So it just varies, you know. And I have notifications on almost all three charts, but uh yeah. All right, so let's see what you got for hype.
yeah, I think this is the real price action. So it was an airdrop
Oh
and
my god,
then
yeah.
went up only, was ranging. Uh,
I think this looks a lot cleaner. This is a very nice clean chart. I mean, let's see what we have. Uh, so like what the hell? So that I would say like that, yeah. So this is very nice. One, two, three. Yeah, I mean connecting these two would have given you like the perfect bottom. Uh, Connecting these two right here, that right here, and then this right here. Wait for that third one, and then long it. I mean, that was look at that. It's perfect. um, yeah, no, I mean, I do like this one a lot. It looks really good. I would say that again, it just depends on what Bitcoin wants to do. And because we could potentially start, going into that, just up and down, sideways range. Go up, go down, go up 50%, go down like 80% or whatever. But I would be looking at these levels here, even on this, even where we are right now. Right, we got rejected once here, we got rejected twice here. We're retesting this right here. Are we going to make an M pattern here? Are we going to continue? So let's look at the RSI. Um, Double topish, almost double topish here. Let's move that. I mean, all right. So this right here on the 3 day, this looks really nice. It looks really bullish. So I like the 3 day so far. The Yeah, I mean the 3 day looks really good. How's the 4 hour? How's it turning? Yeah, so this is what I mean. Like the 4 hour is still looking a bit. Um, it's a bit bearish. Just because we were making.
I mean, to me, it's extended. Like you saw I had shorts on my chart because I'm looking to like hedge, and I think it's stuff. I don't know if it's gonna pull back here, but it is gonna pull back soon. I think because it just went 80% with very little pullbacks.
I mean, I think the perfect way, I mean, I think this is the perfect way to tell. Just as soon as we break that trend, that's it. That's game over. And I think you are right though. After it just did an 80%, it's most likely going to pull back, right? So maybe break that, do a retest somewhere around here, and then go down to where I don't know. Maybe we can pull a fib, but I mean, there is some bearish divergence on the 4 hour, but the 3 day has a lot of momentum, right? But we're also hitting into some resistance here. Look, we have a support here, then we have a resistance here, right? Then another resistance, then another one here, and we're also at resistance. So it wouldn't be a terrible idea to short here. But if we decide to continue to move up, this would be a great area to short. Maybe to retest this level to see if we hold as a support and if it wants to continue to go up, right? Or just it comes down and it doesn't hold the support and it continues to go down. So I mean, honestly, I would just say short here and have like tight stop losses. If it continues to rip, then come back down here and then short it from there, right? Uh, Maybe a nice short for like 15%, and then if we hold that support region around here, I could see this breaking out, right? Because we have this pattern from all the way back here. Rejection, maybe we hit up to here, maybe we get rejected, come back down to like these levels, and then if we're not in, if Bitcoin continues to run, then obviously this is going to break out. Yeah, I mean but in terms of extended, I think it's extended, and I think your move on a short isn't a bad idea. Yeah. So let's see. Here we have a 18. So around, yeah, so that's the next level for the uh yeah. Like you see how it lines up with the 21 MA on the 5 day? That would be like the next resistance level.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it's
18 is
go ahead.
that's another. I was green there. 18, I think, is a zone you want to start scaling in. Maybe here, like if you think Bitcoin is going to break down, but I think Bitcoin could still spike up. Like I mentioned earlier in the stream. So
Yeah.
I would follow. I think 18 is a safer entry for me. But let me show you this
Yeah.
chart that I had because it's funny how like your trend line and this like key fib level both called the bottom. So let me show you. Okay, so like I messed up and I drew this fib with the trading view
Oh, dude.
price action, and I got way too early, but I'm still hodling. I don't mind it. And if I had drawn the correct fib, look at this. This is perfectly nailed the bottom to the wick. 929 around there, and
Yeah.
it's crazy. Like I don't know why it works, but and
Yeah.
so basically at this point, I think we have this bullish EMA trend flip here. That's what this yellow plus is. So we're now officially in a bullish trend. And I think it's gonna reject here the 0.5 most likely because you're coming up on this old range here, and you basically have to flip this old support into it's gonna flip to resistance, right? So
Yeah.
that's probably the zone you could start scaling in now for a short. But I do think like long term, this like you said, it's gonna break out. They have product market fit. They're doing all the right things, have the attention. So this kind of reminds me of like Soul at between 15 and 20, right? Like they're still the doubters, but they're doing all the right things and they have pretty good community. So I could see this going to like, if Bitcoin gets back over 100K, 120, I could see this at $50 easy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's absolutely that's doable.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, this one's a good one though. This was a good catch. If you caught some at least, but I think yeah, I would say like between 40 and $60, it easy.
yeah. I have like 10 more minutes before I got to wrap, but the other ones I was thinking of looking at are Sui and Soul. So do you want to take a look at any of those?
Yeah. Let's do Sui and then I will here, hold on.
I can pull it up too.
Yeah, I got it. I got it here. But before we go into Sui, I do want to talk about really quick, guys. If you were in the group, you would have gotten the call for that Sui short, which I mean, this one printed a decent amount. Let's see, how much was it? But it was that shoulder head and shoulder pattern. We didn't exactly get to that one. Was it 167? We got to like 171, but it was a good like 21%, 22%. So it was a great short there. So again, if you guys would have been on our Telegram group, you would have gotten this one call, and then we also got I believe was the Solana short. Yep, all the way down to actually 96, right? So actually went lower from 122 all the way down, right? So make sure you guys are joining our Telegram group.
Yeah, we're gonna
But
add the link to the description to join, and we're updating all
yeah,
the real time trades there.
so I know this looks kind of messy, but there's truth in this madness. And I'll just work with this one. I mean, guys, look at that. I've had three different support levels just because we had that one and we had this one, but I mean, this one came all the way down to, like I said, 171. And this is that perfect range. Let me get rid of this. Uh, this was like a perfect range to look at, right? We tried to get out, we couldn't. We came back in. And in terms of, as I'm looking at some of these coins, Henry, I I think, and I'll show the same thing for Soul, but I believe, and again, I could be wrong, but I think we're starting to get into a range, and it'll be something like this, right? That, and then that, and then that, and then maybe drop again, or maybe pump. So I mean, I'm honestly, or pump, right? Just because I mean, that's the 5 day. It's not looking bad at all in terms of the stochastics. Let me get rid of all this. Let's look at the weekly. This is what worries me on the weekly. We're starting to go in the MACD down to the negative, which also shows bearishness. This one, I mean, we're getting very far away. I mean, we haven't gone up on the stochastic since February, right? We tried, but we couldn't. And it looks like, if we dump one more time, then we're just continuing. I mean, look at this one. This is the perfect example, right? We were at $2 and then we dropped all the way to 49 cents. And look at what we did, right? We just did all the way down and we just went sideways for a while until we bled all the way down there, right? So it again, the market's dependent on Bitcoin, so maybe we just range a little bit depending on what Bitcoin does, or this just kind of goes sideways and then we just continue to bleed out. So I'm seeing that. So just to be clear, this is the range I've been looking at. If we break above this one on a weekly, I would feel very, very comfortable longing around here. But over here, it's a bit difficult to say. Again, this is the weekly time frame we have on the monthly. And we just touched the 21 MA on the monthly, so it's not bad. Um, but again, it's something to keep in mind. That's all I want to. That's all I want to say to that. And in terms of breaking out, if we can break out of this one and close the weekly above the white line, which is like 237, I think we can gap up all the way maybe to like 350 again. Um, but not. I'm not feeling very bullish on alts in general. Maybe we get one last pump and then the end of it. Like I'm very doubtful that we're going to see a higher high on Sui. Uh, in general, just because what we've seen that Bitcoin pumps, and it'll just continue to pump. But these alts are not showing too much strength, at least, unlike like Farcoin or Hype. I think they're the chosen ones, but I think some of these are just going to be forgotten. Again, my opinion, I could be wrong, but again, this is just one level to look out for. Weekly or monthly above the 237, I think is really good for an upside. Uh, where we're gonna go, I'm not sure. I think we'll probably find out. But that's what I'm seeing for Sui in general. What about you? What are you seeing for Sui?
Yeah, if you want to flip it over to my screen, I think
Yeah.
I'm seeing something similar. Like I have the same trend line here. I do think
Hmm.
there's a case to go long here if we think there's not much downside to Bitcoin left. But I think to really see like a strong altcoin season run, you have to see the Fed pivot and things, liquidity come back
Mm.
and risk on come back, right? We've been very risk off the whole year. Trump's flip flopping on tariffs, macro's bad. Uh, Stocks have had a blow off top down 20%. So it's been rough conditions. But if you can see here, like the trend was down only, and we're at least now going sideways, right? So you could argue, like you said, you're starting to see ranging, you're starting to see accumulation, signs that we could be building a base for the next leg. So I think there is a case to be made, like maybe 170 was the low, and if it wasn't, if it's down there again, I think I would take a punt. Um,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's it's tough. It's tough. It's right now the trend is still very bearish, and I could also see a short here. I have a short setup as well, and to me, it's really again the monthly open. Like this one, unlike Bitcoin and Hype, is below the monthly open, so showing a lot of weakness. But then again, do I want to short like at the bottom of after all this, or do I want to be longing here? So
yeah,
just I think the ones like this, they're not moving much. You probably want to get on faster horses like a Farcoin or Hype. But keep in mind, Sui was one of the leaders in 2024. Like they have good marketing, they have good partnerships. If there is one that could make a comeback, it is Sui. Maybe not a new all-time high, but at least four. A quick double up. Um, but I
yeah,
do have this like bullish divergence here on the daily, and so this kind of is starting to look bottomy to me, or at least there's a good risk reward here, right? If there's a sell off and we hold this low, um, I could definitely be see like a good risk reward for a long there.
yeah. I agree with you. I mean, one of the things that I would actually enter this trade if I see like the 160s again, maybe like a sort of deviation, because that is in a range, right? And then once that deviation hits, then I would absolutely ape in on Sui.
Yeah, but like versus this is versus Bitcoin. I don't know if this doesn't look as bottom to me. Like this looks
Yeah.
much weaker. Like maybe we come down here, or maybe the 0.786. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I'm in. I think you could go either way for these. There's one that I like better than Sui. That's an L1, and that's Sonic. And I'm looking for a trigger here. Like I think it's already flipped. Oh no, it hasn't flipped bullish yet. It's still bearish, like in terms of a trend, but we are down. We're below the monthly open. But if we flip the monthly open on versus Bitcoin, I would definitely long. Or if we come down here, we have one, two, three, fourth uh, support there. You could argue it's looking to break down, or maybe that's the final touch before breaking this trend line. Um, but yeah, it's still. I'm not like rushing into alts at the moment. If anything, I'm looking probably to buy some Bitcoin and just hold it until it goes back to like 92, 95. Because I do think it is going to retest that zone. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think S looks stronger than a lot of other ones. Like it already ran these lows, and you could argue maybe it'll make a lower high. This is where I'm looking along and like 0.42 or something, and just seeing like can it can it build a base here basically. And
Yeah.
other than like just Sui hype, like Soul's another one we could maybe end the show with.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely. That's one.
I'm not
Mhm.
yeah I'm not taking on too much risk at the moment. Just like strong fundamental projects. I know they're going to be around, and either quick in and out, or ones that I know I'm going to hold and have a lot of confidence that they're going to be higher in 6 months. But it is a very choppy market. So
Yeah.
yeah, what do you think about Soul?
Yeah, so for Soul, this is another one that I've been looking at for in
So
terms of ranges. So here, let me show you.
it broke down versus Bitcoin.
All right, so what's that?
it broke. It, it's down a lot. First Bitcoin, it's down 50%. This was supposed to be like the king, right? Yeah, it could be an opportunity.
Right.
I think it's an opportunity for sure,
Yeah.
probably.
So that's yeah. I mean, here's one of the things that I can here I'm sharing my screen. So this is one of the things that I'm looking at uh for Sol. So again, I have it in this range between 145 and 78 dollars. The mid range being like the 109, 110. Uh, we did break down from this pattern, right? You see this white line. So like it wouldn't surprise me if we get like one last pump of like 21% where we retest this area, right? We retest it and then we flop back down. And then I think that's it for Sol. Uh, yeah, that's all I got for this one. I mean, and then maybe from here from 170, whatever wherever we top off around here, and it kind of adds up on the weekly because the by the time this reaches here, the 21 MA is probably going to act as resistance along with this trend, right? And it's also, I mean, if you want to look at this one, we're looking at a lot of resistance here as well, right? Um, but yeah, anyway, maybe we could see one last one here. But if we can't break above like that 144 on like a weekly or a monthly, again, it just seems like we're gonna flop back down. And that's basically all I have. I mean, to me, this does not look as bullish as I like it. This just tells me like one last pump, but making a lower low, a lower high. Sorry, yeah, lower high, right? And then we continue to go down. It doesn't look bullish to me. The MACD we're already at the bottom on the weekly. Like we're already in the negative compared to the other ones. Some of them are still up here. But again, retest here, then down again is my call on this one. We could, if we can't break that 145, then we could go lower. But the weekly does look good for a pump. Um, how high we go is going to tell us how bearish we are because let's just say that on the weekly we pump all the way up to like this area here and the price action stays around like 130 140 at most 150. That's very weak. It's telling us that it's losing momentum, right? And this is a perfect example. If you see here back in September of 2024, look at that uptrend, right? And then look at what we did. Like, I mean, that was incredible, right? That was a nice pump. So if we don't see something like this on the way up, like something crazy, which I don't think we will, then yeah, I mean, this is a perfect short on that weekly. We might not even go all the way up. We might come up here and then just curve down, kind of like what we did here, right? We went up and then we curved down, and this was our high. This was our last higher high, all the way up to like 300. And I believe this is when Trump launched the coin, right?
It was.
And then that was the perfect
It
short
was such an
deviation.
obvious top in
Yeah,
hindsight.
yeah.
What could be bigger than that, right?
uh, Yeah. Look at that. Boom, deviation, short, beautiful downtrend. But I see what you're saying with the whole we're kind of curving down and it looks like we're kind of entering accumulation before I think Sui's also doing the same thing, right? Uh yeah, we could see that, but I think that we could see that last retest maybe up to like 180, 170. And then for me, at least personally, I would short around these areas. Just again, we're so overextended. There's a lot of bearish divergence. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, it's starting to look weaker and weaker from that top. I mean, that's very bearish, right? Lower high, lower. I'm sorry, lower low, yeah, lower high, lower high, lower high, higher high, higher high, higher high. That's the perfect short, and boom. So that's the monthly. We're already crossed the MACD on the monthly into red. This this would say. I mean, how long did it? Yeah, I mean, this would have to go down a little bit. I mean, we could go a few months maybe, and then turn back up. But again, I doubt it. So I think I'm not bullish on Sol in general. Short-term trades, absolutely, we could rock them and then short them again to make money. But
There's
that's all I have for that one.
there's one more that I want to take a look at before we wrap. It's grass.
Yeah,
Do you have that one?
yeah.
GRASS.
Do you wanna share first, and then I'll.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, go for it, and then I'll take a look at it.
So this is again, I'm looking for like fundamentals and not so much that I think like they're real businesses, just at least ones that I know aren't gonna rug, right? Like that are gonna be around and try to build a product at least. So one of those is Grass. I think they're like a data collection scraper AI type of play. So they're in the right narrative, and um, it had this long downtrend similar to Hype. Like actually, looks very similar to Hype now. Now that I'm looking at it, crazy spike up from an 8x on when it came out. Was ranging, lost the range, broke down, scam pump, and it's making higher lows, which I like. And if we look at the trend, still bearish, but it does look much stronger than some other stuff out there. So I'm looking for it to flip basically the monthly open here, and that would be pretty big, significant breakout of this makeshift trend, right? It's not a perfect trend, but if you flip the monthly open and get above 190, there's not much resistance up here, right? 216, and then you're almost at $3. So pretty good risk reward trade. I think if we look closer, it is sort of flagging, but it's just I don't know, weird price action, weird choppy price action. Probably market maker scams. So I don't know. Maybe they do a scam pump. Um, but yeah, if you like good risk reward, I think from here, 10% downside to 147 and targeting a little above $2. You got what is this ratio? Almost a 4R trade. So 5 if you want to push it. I think it's pretty solid. What do you think?
Yeah, so I remember you sent me this one. It does look really good. I think I think at least this one gets one last pump, but I'll give you the some of the scenarios that I was looking at. So I think you sent it to me a few days ago, so I started charting it from. So just kind of zoom out from here, right? So there's this. I wasn't sure where to take the. Let me change the color here. I wasn't sure where to take the trend from through here. So there's two I have here. There's one from here, here, and then from the last top right to there. That would be the middle. So there's these two I have, which again I'm not sure which one would play out. I do like the daily. I mean, the daily is we're turning up, and what I like to see is we're not going all the way down. We're actually flipping a little bit earlier, and I like to see these flips earlier because to me this is bullish, right? And same thing inverse. It would be bearish if it's the other way around, right? But I do like this for a pump on the daily. It has to get above the 21 MA, and that's what it's been fighting for a few days. Like it got below it, right? And then it pumps. So we're fighting how many? Since the 14th. So about 3 days. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, and today, right? Five.
But look at
So 4 days it's been fighting. Mhm.
the look how compressed the moving averages are getting, right? Like it looks like it wants to make a move, whether it's lower or it flips it. It's kind of like you know what I mean? It's tightening. It's like it's about to make a
Yeah.
move.
Yeah, no, definitely. And as you could see, it's the same thing on the 3 days. So we have the 21 MA and the on the 3 day and the daily as a resistance. And that I think that's the biggest hiccup, right? It has, as you can see here, it still has momentum for like a nice pump. And then here, we're above it, which I like to see this. Once we get above 50 here, I think it's good to go. Um, and we're not done with the stochastics RSI. We're not done getting all the way up to here. So you see it has momentum. It looks like it has purpose, right? Where it's going. It knows where it's going. So I think, once we get up to here, I think that move will happen. So let's look at the 4 hour. All right, so I think this is kind of good news because as we're coming down, the price is going sideways. It's just chopping, right? So the 4 hour got all the way up to the top here for the stochastics and down, but they're a little bit sideways. Um, I think a good sign in general. Let's see the. Yeah, it still has momentum, and we're slowly getting higher, right, into the positive side of the MACD. So that's a good sign. If you look at the hour, yeah, hour's looking a little strange. Probably also because Bitcoin has been dumping a little bit since we started. Um, but I mean, I think bidding this one, it wouldn't surprise me if we see maybe this one come back down to here, right? Maybe to like that 200 MA on the 4 hour, and then continue. So maybe like a shoulder, head, and like a shoulder. If and that's big if we do dump, if we come back down, right? But if we don't, this could be a nice parabolic move. That's the micro, but in the macro sense, I think same as you. Like that's a flag. Look at that. You could see maybe like up to crap, up to like 240, 250 or whatever. The perfect way to play this, in my opinion, would be this one, right? We break out, we retest, and then we continue. I think that retest is going to be the perfect entry. Once we break out, of course, that would be the retest confirmation. Obviously, it's not going to be that perfect, so have like a multiple buying orders around this area, because that would give you that next leg up, right? But a retest of this trend would be great. Um, we have that, and then right now we're that level. We leave, and then we just retest something like this around here. I don't know, but that would be a great buy in my opinion. I think that would be a better play because this could just kind of dump, right?
Well, that's
Um,
where I'm looking to enter. Is if
that,
it goes down,
that would,
I'm
mhm.
I'm starting to see a line.
I think that would be a great idea. And, one thing I forgot to look at is the fib. Let's look at the fib from this little top to from here to here, right? Maybe we get some good numbers. So let's just say, yeah, 4 hour. That's good. Yeah, so maybe we get to the point 0.5, right? Maybe get to the point 0.5, maybe the 0.618. Kind of doubt we would get to the 786. It looks too bullish for that. So yeah, I would look at some of these levels, right? And then I do want to look at one last thing. How's the trend looking? The trend is your friend. So let's see. Yeah, I mean it's respecting. You see, that's respecting. If we break down from there, then maybe yeah, down to here. But that trend has been respecting consistently, and it could be a violent pop up. It just violently pops, right? So, yeah, I would say have alerts and definitely put in buying orders at different levels where you think it would go. Either you buy in a portion now, and if you think it's going to go lower, then you just put in some buying orders at like 163, 160, as low as like 156. And if it rips, at least you're exposed, right? And if it comes down, at least you're getting filled in um, as you're going lower. So yeah, I think out of all of them, this one and hype are looking pretty good. Yeah, Fartcoin now it's 77 cents. So yeah.
All right. Well, I think that does it for today. I mean, that's everything I wanted to cover.
Yep.
Anything else for you?
Yeah, one last thing I did want to talk about Solana. I think I just talked about the macro, but not like the smaller time frames. So this kind of, it looks like it's forming almost like an M pattern that it may want to dump. So let's take a look. So it's kind of looking like this, right? It's kind of looking double top-ish here. And I'll explain why in a second. Again, this, as you can see, this range here has been a resistance, kind of like Bitcoin, right? It's just been hitting like a wall so many times that it can break through. It looks like this was deviation, and then we came back down. But that, I mean, shorting here is not a bad idea. I was in a short. I was in a short earlier today, but I got wicked out. So I'm break even right now on that short. But if you could see the 1 hour time frame like that, look at that. Lower, 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 and then price is just going higher, came back down higher. And this is on the 4 hour, so it's still looking a bit weak. The MACD is also looking a bit weaker. Again, this is bearish, right? Because price is going up, but this is coming down drastically. So this may not be a bad place to short. I did post this, have a stop loss between 136 to like 138. Maybe a scam pump and then a dump, right? But I don't know. Like I'm not very trusting of a pump right now. Like we just double topped on the daily stochastics as well. So yeah, maybe we come back down again. Maybe we do something like this for Solana, for Solfana, maybe like a shoulder head. Maybe we come up to here, or maybe there we do like a funky shoulder head and shoulder, something like that, right? Maybe come revisit like 120. That's if Bitcoin decides to revisit 82K, right? 82K I'm looking at right here. So between 82 and 84K, I've been looking at Bitcoin. If we come down to here, then I think Solana is also going to drip. I do have Bitcoin right now in this flag that could potentially rip. I know I'm going out of topic here, but again, Bitcoin's going to run the show. So if we decide to see something like this, then of course Bitcoin's going to have a target of about 86, and then that would mean that obviously Solana would pump up to here. But if we decide to go lower, then I would expect Solana to go to like 120-ish, and then I would probably long around 120 depending on the support. But yeah, that's all I have. I just wanted to touch up on this one here. And if this just continues to dump, it wouldn't surprise me. It just continues to go bleed down to here. That's all I got, man. That's all I got. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think that covers it. So thanks everyone for watching, and
Awesome.
yeah, we'll try to stream more often. It's been too long.
All right, guys. Have a good night.